me apart. Love carved in stone. Love carved in stone. That's me and my baby. Love carved in stone. From the very first moment I lay eyes on you, I knew I loved you and the love was true. Love carved in stone. Love carved in stone. That's me and my baby. Love carved in stone. Well, she got a way to make my heart beat up 1,000,000 times stronger than a coffee cup. A love carved in stone. Love carved in stone. That's me and my baby. A love carved in stone. Yeah! Carve it, baby. That's me and my baby. Love carved in stone. That's me and my baby. Love carved in stone. Yeah.
Hi, my name is. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Please tell me you can hear me in the side chat, and tell me quickly because there seems to be quite a substantial delay tonight. But what are you going to do? So I had an idea about something I wanted to do tonight, which we are going to do. Creaky coming on with the what? With the whippy. What's the whippy? My hat. Well, it's getting slightly colder in Wales. It's we aren't blessed with glorious weather, especially at this time of year. So anyway, what I decided I would do tonight is bring somebody on for a chat. And the idea is it can be absolutely anybody. But I thought as my first special guest, I would bring on long-term channel supporter and everybody's favorite American veterinarian, Christopher Shapley, DVM CVA. Good evening, Dr. Shapley. How the devil are you?
Hey, Creaky, how's it going?
Well, living the dream, pal. Or trying to anyway.
I know. Same here.
Yeah. What's the lockdown situation over there at the minute? Are you all free and clear, or?
No, it's weird how things are here because basically for us, there's the mask, mandates and requirements. Restaurants were at 25% capacity. Now that it's getting to be wintertime, I know in New Jersey, there's a new mandate where you can't have more than 10 people in a building at once.
Right.
I think social gatherings like outdoor stuff, which nobody's really going to be doing, I think is only about like 25 people max. I could be wrong because I feel like it changes every day. But we're, as long as you have a mask on, you can pretty much go wherever you want and do whatever you want, go to the grocery store, things of that sort. we're still doing in the veterinary field. We're still doing what we call curbside concierge. So
Yeah.
no pet owners are allowed in the building. What we do is we go out to their car. So we get the pet. Some of the veterinarians talk to people on the phone. I'm more of I need to see you face to face kind of thing. So if
Yeah.
it's raining, if it's 30 degrees out, I go out there and I talk to my clients. So I think it's going to be, I'm sorry.
So, sorry, Chris. I suppose to do what you do is near as damn it impossible unless you're actually there. Kind of hands-on in some, literally hands-on in some cases.
Well, and especially like I'm a little bit more old school. I started off doing large animal medicine, so I'm used to being right there with either the equestrian that owns the horse or the farmer that owns the cow. So for me, like face-to-face interaction, I need to do. I don't know. But yeah, it's physically impossible to, check, Fluffy's limping without. So yeah, it's gotta get done. We have to see people. And I'll do some, telemedicine, like send me a picture of Fluffy's, I don't know, whatever wound. And I'll do my best to, if it's not something that needs surgical repair, I'll just do something, send you home with antibiotics or pain meds or whatever it needs. But that's the limit.
Yeah, because in the UK, well, certainly in Wales, I can't speak for the whole of the UK, but they've just implemented the single most confusing. I'll just say what it is. So pubs, bars, public houses, they don't have to close, but they cannot sell alcohol.
Okay, yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they've done. Thursday just gone was at 11 o'clock on Thursday just gone. They had to stop serving alcohol. And they cannot serve alcohol again until they're given clearance to do so. So that's like saying, right, Chris, you're a vet.
Yeah.
So your veterinary surgery can stay open, but you can't treat any animals. None. The animals can come. You can give them you can look at them, but then whatever's wrong, you can't do anything to treat them. That would be exactly the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and
serve alcohol. That's
yeah,
what they're
and I mean
for.
that seems ridiculous. Now, I don't know, like in the United States, at least, like our pubs, the ones that are actually referred to as pubs, they have a full kitchen, so they'll also serve food, and alcohol. So I don't, but we're still serving them.
There's not that many what I would consider to be a traditional pub, which is just a public house. You can go in there and all you can buy is beer or whiskey or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few pubs like that left now. So nearly all the pubs here do actually sell food, but part of the whole experience of going and eating out is you go out for a steak dinner and you have a glass of wine or a glass of beer. Yeah. It's going to have such a devastating effect on businesses that are already struggling. It just makes absolutely zero sense. Absolutely zero sense.
I mean, honestly, you could just go home or stay home rather, cook yourself your own steak, forego the huge upcharge.
Yeah.
And, go crack a beer at home and just sit at home and cook your own food and drink. Like that makes no sense.
No, I know it doesn't make any sense at all, but just quickly.
Ooh, super chat.
First super chat of the night from Peter Nankaru. Bring your own. I don't think that's something you'd be able to do, Peter. I think the whole idea behind it is that the government don't want people congregating and drinking alcohol, because when you drink alcohol, your inhibitions melt away. So whilst ordinarily you may understand and be willing to stick to that rule because they don't want people hugging and whatever else, but as soon as you get a few beers down your neck, that rule becomes less important. So I'm pretty sure that's why they've done it, to stop people abusing the system, if you like, but when sort of just forgetting the rules. So I think that's why they've done it. It's the only explanation I can come up with anyway. Don't let people get drunk, and then the likelihood of them breaking the rules is it isn't going to change. But I don't know, will it work, won't it work? What do you think, Chris?
I mean, honestly, I don't think it will work. And I guess I have an ignorant American question, I guess, to ask. Would they be keeping these public houses open because it's so ingrained in the culture and they're afraid about upsetting people and not letting them go to pubs? Or is it just kind of backwards thinking where it's like, well, you can go there, but you can't drink, and period, end of story?
I don't know. I think it's been done more. Pubs are a central part to a lot of sort of towns and cities in the UK. Certainly where I live, the local pub is, the people that live within this area, they all tend to, go there Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it may be. But I think the reason they've done it, they are thinking, whichever way around they've got it, is, okay, we don't want to force pubs to close entirely, because obviously there's a huge economic, effect on that. So their logic, I think, is, okay, you can stay open, you just can't serve alcohol. You'll just have to make do with serving food. So I can kind of see the logic from that side as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't really make that much sense to me, because people go out to the pub for a meal and a drink. That's the whole thing of it. So, Peter saying, can you bring your own? You can't bring your own alcohol into pubs in the UK anyway. It's obviously it's frowned upon for obvious reasons. But it would be like somebody bringing an injured dog into your surgery, but bringing their own vet in with them and say, I just need the building. It's not really the done thing, is it? It's not really the done thing. But,
no, it's bad form to do that. So
yeah, exactly right. Sorry, Chris. Another super chat just come in from Stormcloud Live. When they do open, have a pint on us, Creaky. Thank you very much indeed.
Very
I
nice.
will most definitely hold you to that, and thank you for the super chat. Yeah, so I was speaking to Mrs. Blinder earlier on, and this is just becoming. You could imagine watching a movie about what we are living at the moment. Obviously, they would embellish it and make it much more appealing, but
yeah,
we are literally, this could be a film. And it's got to the point now, Christmas 2019 was like, it feels like it was only a couple of weeks ago. This whole year is just, from March until present day, it's just been a big blur with everything and nothing happening.
Yeah, it's like a placeholder, and it's just something to get us between 2019 and 2021, but this has been, probably, I have to say the weirdest year, just everything in general.
Yeah.
And I used to teach Kung Fu on the side pre-COVID. And I rented space from a friend of mine who owns a school. And once COVID hit, I couldn't teach anymore. I couldn't do that. I still teach at a local community college. I teach like a veterinary assistant program with a couple other veterinarians. And like I taught today, and it's so weird to, have to, they have all these, plexiglass kind of, shields, and
Yeah.
I'm, teaching to the class, but everybody's behind plexiglass and I'm behind plexiglass and I got a PowerPoint behind me and I'm a wanderer. Like I like to walk around when I talk and when I teach.
Yeah.
And I can't do that. I had to sit in one spot, teach,
Yeah.
not really interact with the students. And it's just surreal. The whole,
it kind of feels like the way we're all having to live now, and everybody's complaining about it to a certain extent, but some obviously will complain more than others. But it feels as if there's nothing that we have to do now that we had to do before this happened. That feels normal. Everything, going to work, Chris, I bet that's very different now from what it was before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, I have to give credit to probably about like 90% of my clients when I'm actually going into the physical hospital. On the side, I still kind of do my own thing and go to barn calls, but the hospital itself, like I give people a lot of our clients a lot of credit because you have to surrender your animal when you're, to us, when you're used to coming into the building and sitting there and talking. And that's one of the reasons why I like to go out there face to face. It brings that nervousness of the clients down. And, then of course you have the 20% where, they're trying to come into the building and I have to act as bouncer and let them know, hey, listen, can't have you in here under any circumstance. I don't, we're in a pandemic and I don't care if Fluffy gets really, really super scared and nervous without you, because 9 times out of 10, Fluffy doesn't get super scared or nervous. It's just it's the psychology of the owners. And I shouldn't say I don't care, because obviously I do care about how
I know what you mean.
Feeling. But I've yet to have one patient lose their mind because the owner wasn't there. If anything, because we're all cooped up, we're all animal lovers. So to see somebody's dog or cat or ferret or whatever I'm seeing, my technicians just literally come out and just pour all the love and the affection that they possibly can on this animal. Because it's a social interaction for them, and they love these animals. So, it's hard. And we try to explain to the clients, listen, your pet is like getting doted on more than it ever would. Especially because you're not here,
But it's like I say, nothing is normal anymore. So everything we do now, are we just at the point where we have to say, well, this is the new normal, and this is how? Because what made me think about it is I was in the bank. It was one day last week. I can't remember where it was, and I had a hat on because I always got a hat on when I'm out. I had a mask over my face. I had a jeans on and a black hoodie. Can you imagine walking into a bank like that in November last year?
Yeah, exactly.
The SWAT team would have been called. The panic alarms would have been pressed. And now everyone's dressing like a bank robber when they go into the bank, aren't they?
Yeah, no, a buddy of mine I grew up with, he a couple months ago sent me a selfie and he's literally has like a bandana around his face. He's got his hood up. He's got a, hat, sunglasses on. And he's like, hey, Chris, when could we have ever walked in a bank like this? And I'm like, you would have gotten shot coming through the door.
I know, it's absolutely, we don't run that risk in the UK. It's it's not quite so easy to get, well, I shouldn't say it's not that easy to get shot over here, but it feels to me like I'm not sure if I've ever told this story before. I was in touch with a guy who lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that is, isn't it?
Yep, New Mexico.
And I used to speak to him a lot, much in the way I speak to you. Yeah. And it turns out his dad was I can't remember if he was a police officer or a sheriff. I don't know if that's a state thing or a different law enforcement. I don't understand because I'm not American. But anyway, so the story goes, he was talking to I was talking to this guy one day, and he said, "Oh, my dad's here. Do you want to say hi?" Yeah, I'll say hello. So I was speaking to him, and he was telling me that he was a police. We'll say a sheriff. I think it was. Yeah, I'm a sheriff, and I've been doing it for 25 years. I said, "Oh, my brother is a police officer, and he's armed response." And he said, "Oh, yeah, that's right. The police in the UK can't carry firearms. No, they can't. My brother," I said, "though, is actually an armed response officer." And so we got to talking about that. And anyway, to cut a very long story short, it got to the point where he asked kind of how frequently the police, my brother in particular, was required to draw his weapon or to, use it. And I said, well, he's never had to use it, luckily. He's drawn it a few times, but even to draw the weapon over here, it's a case of you have to radio through to the inspector that's on duty, and the inspector then gives the order for the box containing the weapon to be remotely unlocked from the police station. And he couldn't believe it. So he said he's been doing this, I think it was 10 years, and he said, "I'm disappointed if I don't at least shoot one person a week." He said, "I'm not saying that, every 5 minutes you're pulling your gun out," but he said, "Unfortunately, we are required to, to at least make the threat of it.
Yeah.
Almost, multiple times a week," he said. I don't know how it varies from state to state, but it was just the difference between how things happen your side of the pond in comparison to how they happen here. It's, it's like two very different worlds.
Yeah, it's typically here. It's like escalation. Escalation of force is typically how it goes. So, if somebody is unarmed, you would typically, the police officer would typically, take out their baton or take out their pepper spray. If the person then attacks you, then you draw your firearm. Or if you show up to the scene and they have a knife, then you draw your firearm. If they have a firearm, then obviously your firearm is drawn. So I have a lot of friends that are police officers. And I actually, when I was in college, had applied to, in where I am in New Jersey, we hire on extra police force for the summer, because I live in a beach community. So we get this influx of tourists coming from all around. And so they hire on, extra forces. And I actually had applied when I was 19, got hired. And, it's most of the police officers that I know that I'm still friends with very rarely draw their firearm. Vast majority of the time they're able to de-escalate without drawing a firearm. Now, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Texas, everybody has a gun. You don't know if a person has a gun. So I can see, maybe departmental policies would be a lot different, because you're going to show up and you're going to say, listen, I don't know if this 80-year-old guy has a Smith & Wesson in an ankle holster. So I'm just going to get right to it.
So that would be a state then. That's what would be considered to be concealed carry is legal
in certain states. Yeah. Like I live in New Jersey, and I have firearms. I enjoy, going to the range and going shooting with my friends and, all that good stuff. And, my grandfather, taught me how to shoot and learned how to shoot in the Boy Scouts back when you were actually allowed to do that sort of thing. But in New Jersey, it is virtually impossible to get a carry permit, and forget about a concealed carry permit. Just forget to get an open carry. You have to know like a state senator, to to get a conceal and carry, if you're not law enforcement, local, county, or federal, you're not getting a concealed and carry.
Right.
You're really not. Yeah.
Right.
So it goes state by state. I think most of your what we call like blue states, your Democratic dominated states like New York, New Jersey, you have to jump through hoops to just even get a firearms permit to begin with.
Yeah.
Forget about concealed and carry or open carry.
Yeah, it baffles me because I've often wondered if they overnight changed the gun laws in the UK so that they matched. I know it varies from state to state, but if it generally matched America, I'm not sure many people would even want to bother going out and getting one, because I can't think of any reason for me to have one. I've never even seen a real gun.
Yeah, it's something that is part of American culture. You have your handful of things that are American: cheeseburgers, horses, bald eagles, handguns. That's America. In a nutshell.
I suppose what you're used to and what you consider to be the norm is hugely influenced by where you were brought into the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Where you were raised or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just find it bizarre. But anyway, Dr. Shapley, DVM CVA, it would be very rude of me to ask you to join me here without asking you. So I've not really thought about how to phrase this question, but not how did you end up watching me? How did you end up interested in this type of YouTube video or community, whatever it may be? What pushed you to suddenly, did it happen accidentally?
Well, so everybody buckle in, because I can tell you kind of a long story about how it all happened. So after getting out of veterinary school, this is a little bit of an industry secret, so hopefully I don't get my gold card taken away from me. But we have surgical books and we have surgical texts and all that sort of thing. But the other wonderful thing that YouTube has on it is there are a lot of veterinarians who will upload them doing particular surgeries. So I kind of fell into the rabbit hole with YouTube, starting off with, okay, I have to do this procedure, a splenectomy that I haven't done since veterinary school. I have my surgery book open. I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because I'm so nervous about this surgery. Let me go on YouTube and see if somebody did a step-by-step approach of how to do a splenectomy. Lo and behold, I found it. And I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And then the only other reason I used YouTube is I've been training in martial arts since I was 6 years old. So I'm going on 41 years of martial arts training. And there are a lot of videos where as practitioners we'll film ourselves and upload ourselves doing certain forms and techniques for the rest of us to kind of watch. And well, I forgot this part of the form, so I'm just going to watch this video and that'll help me. Somehow the YouTube algorithm blended those things together and gave me Simon Dan. So I watched a bunch of Simon Dan. I'm assuming probably because his stuff is mostly, obviously science. So the YouTube algorithm was probably like, hey, this guy is really into science and medicine. Maybe he'll be interested in something else. And I started watching Simon Dan. Then I got into conspiracy cats. And then I found you. And the rest is history, as they say.
So it literally was an accident then?
Yeah, 100%. Like I tripped over you in the dark, and I will tell you the reason why I found you I will tell you, is insomnia. Not being able to sleep and surfing
Yeah.
YouTube looking for videos to watch that I might be interested in that'll take my mind off of what I have to do tomorrow or what happened
Yeah.
today. So I think whereas I love Conspiracy Cats and I love Simon Dan, it was, and I'm going to try to say this without it sounding insulting,
Yeah.
it was a little too intellectual for me when I wanted to wind
I knew
down.
exactly where you were going with it, Chris. Everyone says the same, but I say it myself. So I don't get easily offended. I promise you. That was part of my approach. Is I kind of wish I could do what Dan and Katz do, but I haven't got the understanding of the sciences that they have, and I'd rather not put myself in the position where I'm pretending I know these things and then having to kind of fill in the blanks of the bits I can't quite remember and make myself look like an idiot. I'd rather say, no, I'm not a science guy. That's why I don't, whenever anybody asks me, I'm sure if Dan gets asked, he says, oh, I debunk flat earthers. Same for Cats, Fight the Flat Earth, all those guys. They are debunking channels. I am not. I've never said I am. I wish I could be, but I'd rather play to my strengths. And I worried initially if there was any room in this community for somebody like me, because this is what prompted that question. I wondered what made people end up here, if that makes sense. Did they, and I don't mean on my channel, I mean here as in this community, watching videos about people debunking or making fun of flat earthers. Because I wondered then, so if you had searched it out, is what were you searching for? Were you kind of on the fence, and because you found our videos rather than the flat earthers videos, you stayed on the sane side of the fence? But in your case, it was a complete, you stumbled across Dan by accident.
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube algorithm is what brought me Dan. Because again, how do you go from like veterinary videos and kung fu videos to Simon Dan? I don't know. So
YouTube is a rabbit hole, literally a rabbit hole for anybody. It all comes down to how you are going to either dismiss or absorb the information you see based on how good that information is. Because despite what all the flat earthers think, watching YouTube videos is not research in any way, shape, or form. It can assist in researching things. I've certainly learned plenty of things from YouTube videos. The reason I'm able to make YouTube videos is because I watched YouTube videos about how to make YouTube videos. And it's, I've challenged people before, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do it. Look it up on YouTube. If you can't learn to do it on YouTube, for me, I'm a visual learner. I've got to watch somebody do it multiple times and then try that bit. Oh yeah, that worked. So I'm following, and I learn that way. Some people learn by sitting down and reading a book. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
No, go on, Chris.
I was going to say, I'm like a visual learner. Again, that's why I was on YouTube. I have tons of books on surgery. I actually have, books also that, break down the different forms that we do in Kung Fu that I can look at the pictures and, but no, I gain so much more from like hands-on. And that's one of the things I think, is where I kind of segue a little bit into it. I think that's where a lot of flat earthers go wrong, because they'll just watch a video and without actually trying it themselves or using the tools that they learn to say, all right, Dan said we can do X, Y, and Z and it'll prove it. Or Conspiracy Cat said, just do this little test and it'll prove it, that the Earth's a globe. And, they say, nope, nope, nope. I watched one video with a guy that has a similar way of thinking as I do, and that's all I'm going to go with, despite the 15 other people that tell me how to, challenge that one guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It makes perfect sense. And I suppose that, based on what I was saying about, I've got a lot of admiration for the way Dan does things, Cats, Fight the Flat Earth, Team Skeptic, all those guys, because they are approaching it from a scientific viewpoint, which is hugely important. I don't know how many people watching this now, or yourself, Chris, have been listening to Dan's podcast, but he had Dr. Becky on. I don't know if you've watched his podcast.
Yeah, I haven't watched his podcast quite yet. I haven't had time to. So
yeah, I was listening to the Dr. Becky one yesterday, and they asked her about flat Earth, obviously, and she's an astrophysicist, so she's a smart lady.
Yeah,
and she said something, and it sums it up perfectly. All it is that leads them to think the Earth is flat, or think that they think the Earth is flat, is, and this rung true for me as well, because it basically boils down to they have very little to maybe no understanding of the physics that cause us to be as we are. And rather than say, I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean anything, because I don't understand a lot of it either. I understand some of it, but not all of it. But I don't think the Earth is flat. But how very easy it would be, based on possibly the way you are as a person, to just watch a flat Earth video and say, well, Mike, that makes so much sense. Yeah, I can't see any curve. And she said, what makes it more ridiculous is, and I've said this myself before, you can't see oxygen, yet you're not fearful of not being able to breathe. Exactly. You can't see H2O, but you'll drink a glass of water.
Yeah.
Why aren't you calling any of those things fake? And I just thought it was very interesting to hear, a highly educated professional's viewpoint on something so idiotic. Because I don't know if anybody has seen it. I'm gonna try and share my screen, Chris. Okay. Hopefully I can do it. No, I won't share the audio. So yeah, there we are. So I don't know, Chris, I think you can see it as well.
Yes, I can.
But Howard George Stirrup has been uploading to his wonderful YouTube channel and posting on Twitter about me, Dan, and Cats. So, facing sci-fi fascism, exposing some of the most infamous YouTubers. I'll take infamous. Thank you very much, Howard. Make money by sharing disinformation. So, right there, there's literally no need to read any further on, because that just shows how ridiculous this whole thing is. But he's basically banging on. He was banging on the other night about he was offering €10,000 to, I can't remember exactly what he said, and I don't want to misquote him, but suddenly now that he rage quit when he was, as he thought, debating Cats, which didn't turn out to be a debate because he didn't bring anything with him. He suddenly now, for unforeseen circumstances, has had to redact his offer of €10,000, and it's just how can somebody who allegedly, because I'm still not convinced any of them truly do, thinks the Earth is flat, call people that illustrate how ridiculous that is spreaders of disinformation, or disinformation. Ridiculing reproducible primary observations and preaching beliefs in secondary information. I am formally requesting that Simon, Dan, and Dave as well. Dave explains on Twitter that
poor Dave,
Professor Dave, isn't it?
Yeah.
Conspiracy Cat and his partner, the Creaky Blinder. That's me, by the way. I just it absolutely blows my mind that there are people that are that stupid. I can't think of any other way to phrase it, because it's like you calling a halt to this conversation. I was saying, right, I've got to get this off my chest. I think the Easter Bunny is a patient of mine. He came in, he had an egg under his arm and everything. He has to be real.
He's about 6 feet tall, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's that ridiculous. It's a claim that I can't believe, and I don't believe that anybody actually really does think the Earth is flat. I mean, how can you? And I don't know. I really don't think they do.
It's mind-boggling, and for so many, I feel like my mind is going in so many different directions right now. But like, just the logistics of a dome, and who built the dome, and what's carrying the flat plane, and a turtle, what? Polar bears? Yeah. I don't understand it. And I find that this isn't just pervasive in conspiracy theorists, flat earthers. I deal with this on a daily basis. For instance, I'm not going to give any names, but there's a human dentist that has a veterinary nutrition page all over social media, where he tells people to feed their pets, and we won't get into the controversy of raw diets, but he tells people to feed their pets, raw meat, raw this, raw that. And he's not even a veterinary nutritionist. He's a dentist. He's a human dentist. Now, I'm not going to start a page on how to pull your own teeth, or how to put your own braces on. I don't understand, I feel like people need to feel important, validated, more than the sum of their career or their life. So they permeate into other things, be it flat earth, be it, an online, veterinary advisory guy. And then what's interesting too is we run into this a lot with breeders. So breeders have a particular mindset, a particular vaccine is going to kill a dog if you give it to them, even though it's tested. And then they tell their clients that, and then they tell their breeder friends that, and none of it's based in science, but it bleeds through this community. And normal, rational thinking people lose their minds. They absolutely just lose their minds. And then they come to me and they say, well, my breeder, who's been breeding Chihuahuas for 20 years, says that, if you give Fluffy, a rabies shot, she's just going to explode. And, and I say to them all the time is, all right, well, where's the studies? Where's the previous history on the on the parents that, all these things happened, and nobody can produce the information, but everybody's certain it's going to happen. And it's just like that in flat earth. Nobody can tell you what's going to cause it, or why it is, or how it is, or however it came into being. But sure as heck, everybody knows in that community knows it's true. Yeah. And they're like,
that's exactly what flat earthers are like, isn't it? They can't prove that it isn't a globe. They can't show us that it is flat. They just know it's their truth, which then makes it very difficult to prove it wrong, because if a person believes in something rightly or wrongly, it's very difficult to convince them of otherwise.
Yeah. Well, and that's the hardest thing is a lot of it is ego too. It's you don't want to admit that maybe you were misinformed or you misunderstood, or you have to have the self-confidence, and you have to have
Yeah.
the emotional intelligence to
Yeah.
say, hey, listen, I learned this, but heck, that was wrong. I learned that all the wrong sorts of way.
Yeah.
I misunderstood it. And then you got to go out in front of thousands and thousands of people and say, oh, sorry guys, I know I was really strong on that, but I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's the trick, is having the ability and, being, humble enough to admit, look, I've been wrong all this time. I've just been misunderstanding it. Just very quickly, Dr. Shapley, super chat from Mitch Goldstein, from Mitch. Is Creaky slowly disappearing? Eyebrows next. No. Now, listen to me, right, everybody? So we'll use my co-host this evening as an example. If the lovely Dr. Shapley wants to change his look, he has many options. He can part his hair a different way. He can get his hair cut differently. He could dye it red if he wanted to be that vet. There's many, many options available to him. But somebody with as high a forehead as I have does not have many options. So when I fancy a new look, I've only got this hair to work with. I've still got some. I've got that bit there and these here, which seem to have developed. I think it's my age, Chris. My eyebrows seem to have sort of left home and started a life of their own just above my eyes.
They start to colonize your forehead.
Yeah,
they grow out like tendrils and colonize your forehead. I will admit that I too am of that particular age where I have to manicure my eyebrows. I'm starting to get hair on my ear. What the hell? What?
I know.
What evolutionary benefit is that? Why do I need hair right here?
I know. It's I think once you get beyond 40, it's just downhill from there.
It really is.
Sadly.
I tell you, it's funny because I find that if I don't work out every single day, I've got floppy bits. If I get a belly, I get jiggly.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like you're describing me, to be honest, Chris. And I've got to the point now where a lot of people watching this will possibly remember that I spent the late part of last year and the earlier part of this year on a keto diet, but I've just got to the point now where it's like I'm 48. I'm not out to impress anybody. You lovely people only ever see me from the chest up, which is why I haven't worn trousers for months. And I just got to, I'm in that frame of mind at the moment where, not that I don't care about my appearance or I don't care if I'm putting weight on, but it just feels like there's a lot of other things going on that must take priority over my slightly wobbly old man belly.
Well, and as long as the lovely Mrs. Blinder, who's a charming, patient, loving woman, is perfectly happy with how you are, that's all that matters. Me, I'm not married, so I still have to look good.
Yeah, you've still got to make an effort.
Gotta still try.
Yeah. Another super chat has come in from Mario Space.x. He's just saying hi to everybody.
Hi, Mario.
Ooh, what happened there? How are you doing, pal? Yeah, I'm just in that sort of mind frame at the minute where, like I say, not that I don't care, but there's much more important things for us to be concerning ourselves with.
Yeah.
Considering what we're all living through at the moment. I'm not sure if the stream has collapsed or not, Chris, because I've just got a black spinning wheel, but nobody seems to have gone anywhere. I don't know if it's Tango 2806 is asking, do I have legs for no trousers? Well, honestly, I spend probably 75% of my time in well, as us British people call them, pajama trousers, but I'm sure there are some swish people amongst us who call it leisure wear, but yeah, clothes are just for very special occasions now. Another
Nowadays,
thing that come in from Crafty Keeler, sending some love to avoid being on the lurk register, even though I am very much lurking today.
Hey,
Thank you,
Crafty.
Crafty, that's very kind of you. I'm getting so confused. Too many people whose names start with the letter K, and by too many, I mean there's two of them. There we are. Yeah, but going back to my question about what got you here. So obviously, you've come across a lot of different things. Is there anything apart from the obvious, like flat Earth, that kind of relates to what you do for a living that you've come across as a conspiracy on YouTube?
I mean, honestly, the only thing that I deal with that would be parallel would be anti-vaxxers. Really grind my gears.
Yeah.
Let me preference this statement too, because there's another section that really drives me nuts too. So for everyone who doesn't know, that CVA after my name is for certified veterinary acupuncturist, and I'm actually working on becoming a certified veterinary herbalist, so I'll have more letters after my name. And I'm all about integrated medicine. So I'll do acupuncture, Chinese herbs, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it really blends well with pharmaceuticals and like Western medicine. What grinds my gears, really honestly, are anti-vaxxers and people who are like, well, you're sick, drink a gallon of coconut oil. Your leg fell off, put some aloe on it. People who are science and medicine deniers that say, well, pharmaceuticals are bad. Big pharma just wants to sell you drugs to keep you sick. And yes, I respect that we're kind of going from a take this herb to take this pill back to take this herb, but we still need that pill. We still need that vaccine. Yeah. So I feel like, and I have to deal with this, and I guess because I'm in the trenches, I see this a lot where, I had a woman come in the other day, her ferret had fleas, and she literally took a bucket of coconut oil and doused the ferret in the coconut oil. Yeah. And, to suffocate the fleas. And this ferret comes in, sticky, disgusting fur. It aspirated some of the coconut oil, so then it had an upper respiratory infection. And I was like, ma'am, why didn't you just call me first? Well, you're just going to prescribe drugs. And, there are some drugs that we need to prescribe. And when I don't need to prescribe drugs and I can do acupuncture or herbs, and I can do either for all sorts of maladies, from internal medicine to musculoskeletal stuff, like, from limping to, heart disease, I can do herbs and acupuncture for that. But you got to understand, medicine has its place. Vaccines have its place. We live as long as we do because of modern medicine. Yeah. A lot of people like to say, well, vaccines and pharmaceuticals give you cancer. No, if you live a long enough timeline without other comorbidities, you're going to get cancer. Yeah, everything, exactly. Once it is lived, I've seen cats perfectly healthy at 23, which is super old for a cat. What do they succumb to? Cancer. Because a long enough timeline, I don't care how healthy you are, you're going to get cancer. And it has nothing to do with the pharmaceuticals or the vaccines.
My own mother had cancer. She's fine now. She's beyond remission now. But she smoked for years and years and years. She stopped smoking 30 years ago, maybe. And she had cancer about 5 years ago. No, 8 years ago. Yeah. She gave up smoking, at least 20 years prior to that. So, was that a delayed case of cancer, or was it that whether she had ever made the decision to smoke or not, she was gonna get cancer?
Yeah, I mean, she could have been just
the likelihood.
Yeah, it could just be, you're just genetically predisposed to it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, you know, life is it's a great, you know, Buddhist kind of way of thinking. Life is pain. You're going
Mm.
to, you know, you live long enough, you experience enough things are going to happen. And,
Yeah.
you know, you can't pin it on vaccines. You can't pin it on pharmaceuticals. So
No. No.
beyond flat earth, that's the stuff that really gets me
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
upset.
Do you know one thing I've often wondered? So you're saying about traditional medicine deniers or anti-vaxxers, that kind of people. So they don't want to accept anything that would be considered to be professional medical intervention. Is that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
fair to say? So if, for example, somebody who was an anti-vaxxer and they were a medicine denier, and they need a kidney transplant or a heart transplant, are doctors okay then, or do they just ride it out because they're an anti-vaxxer and a traditional medicine denier?
Yeah, and it's amazing, like either when it happens to you directly, how quickly your mind changes. Again, with me speaking as a veterinarian, I have clients, and you know, I'm pretty open and honest with everybody, and what you see is what you get. You know, people will say, no, I refuse to vaccinate my pet against this, or I refuse to do this kind of medicine. And you know, I have to say to them, okay, that's fine. We're not going to do that, but I'll see you in a couple of weeks when that coconut oil doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I'm popular at my practice because of my integrative approach. Because
Hmm.
you know, you can come and see me, and you're like, you know what, I don't want any pharmaceuticals. Let's try an herb. And what I'll say is, well, if this herb doesn't work, then you know we're circling back to the pharmaceutical. Unless, of course,
Yeah.
I know for a fact that the herb will not work at all, and we have to do
Yeah.
a pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the approach. But yeah, I feel like people are like, you know, I don't want any medicine. I don't want anything. And people shouldn't be taking pills. And big pharma is bad. And hospitals only care about money. They're not in it for helping people. When it happens to them or a loved one, it's amazing how quickly they pivot on that point.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
honestly. So it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I just think it would be interesting to see how they would react in, you know, those given circumstances where the only way to save their life was through the type of medical intervention that they've been resisting for however many years it may be.
Well, I would say if it happens with pet parents and their pets, it's definitely going to happen with them themselves, because the people who say no, no, no to everything, once, like I said before, once Fluffy's sick, they have a whole new perspective.
Yeah, of course they do.
Whole new perspective. Yeah.
The thing is, though, it's difficult to, you know, I'd like to consider myself to be, you know, to be able to demonstrate empathy where it's appropriate. But I think in some circumstances, it's very difficult to put yourself in that, what in a lot of cases is a very painful position, you know, as far as it can apply to anything. It can apply to a pet. It can apply to a, you know, a human relative, you know, until you're experiencing that particular thing, whatever that thing is, then it's difficult to honestly and accurately say how you would behave in those circumstances, which, you know, if you're lucky, will always be unknown to you. But when you're thrown into that position, or thrown in at the deep end, however you want to phrase it, it can and invariably does change your way of looking at things and thinking of things.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Self-preservation is introduced into it then, isn't it?
Yeah, your whole perspective changes. And I mean, I think the initial, of course, is like, you know, it's denial, and you fall back on your own personal beliefs and maybe what your family or your tribe, you know, believe until you're forced to actually face the reality of it. And then it's like, all right, now I have to listen. I don't have a choice. I have to listen now. And that's unfortunate. And it's happened in my own family. I have a lot of very stubborn family members with their own health, until they're faced with the harsh reality and the grim reality of, it's got to be done. They're deniers.
I just think it's really sad that some people choose to live like that, and in some cases, because I've often wondered, what certain flat earthers may or may not have lost as a result of being a flat earther. What at what cost does that belief come? Because I can't imagine trying to explain something that ridiculous to Mrs. Blinder, coming home one day and saying, I don't think the earth is a globe. She already thinks I'm nuts. Then she really know I was nuts. I can't imagine, and there's they always, as well as having the ridiculous belief, they're always looking for somebody to point the finger at and somebody to blame for them having that mindset. It's always the government, they and them. And, and this raises another question then, similar to the question I just, what I was just saying about medicine deniers, if they need a heart transplant, that sort of thing. So I'm not going to use anybody's name, but if... it's the welfare state, I think you guys call it in the US. If somebody's on welfare, which means they don't work, government subsidized there. So there we are. Mrs. Blinder just said in the side chat, now she does think I'm nuts. See, so I wasn't lying. It's so they're running around screaming, "Oh, the earth is flat," and "Don't get vaccinated," and NASA is evil, and we didn't land on all this kind of malarkey, while sitting in their house or whatever it may be and receiving a welfare check. Because
the government's evil, but I'll take the handout.
You can't have your cake and eat it, to use a very, very British expression. I think it's a British expression anyway, but you know what I mean. It's the same as if an anti-vaxxer or a medicine denier needs a heart attack, is that then okay? And if a flat earther who can't work because he may have lost his job because of his ridiculous beliefs, or what, it could be any number of things that led him to not be able to work, but somehow the evil government, lizard, Illuminati overlords are evil. But thanks, free money, yay, I'll take that. That's okay.
You could almost spin it and say that the government is subsidizing flat Earth and not round Earth. Think about it. These flat earthers who can't work and that are on Social Security, well, who's subsidizing them, or who are on welfare? Well, technically, the government's paying you to be a flat earther. So wouldn't that lean you a little bit more towards the
that makes
maybe the government believes in flat Earth?
Yeah, that makes them shills and not us.
Yeah. See, we're not the shills. It's
exactly
them.
What an interesting way to look at it. But
I mean, that if I ever got an opportunity to speak to Natalie, if I didn't throttle him from the beginning, that's something I would say to him, would be like, you don't work, you're clearly getting money from, welfare, Social Security, wherever you're getting it from, you're getting some sort of government subsidy. Well, then clearly by your logic, the government believes in the flat earth.
Yeah.
Somebody
in the side chat has just said, could I ask you to nuke Nathan Thompson?
I have to say, if there's anybody that I would love to just meet in the streets, it would be Nathan Thompson. Yeah, I would love to.
I was just going to say something about Nathan Thompson, so that segues nicely into it. So
glad I could help.
You've seen the little clip I use in some of my videos of Nathan Thompson crying.
Yes.
So I've got that full video, but I've never watched it all the way through. And a couple of weeks ago, I watched it all the way through. And I kid you not, to hear why he was crying is bloody heartbreaking. It's absolutely. I don't know if you've seen that video.
I have seen the video, yeah, and
It's sad, Chris.
it is
sad.
Part of me, if it wasn't for the misogyny, racism, borderline pedophilia, idiocy with his dog, making his dog a vegan. I would feel really, really sorry for him if he didn't have all these other horrible attributes. And there are moments of humanity that I see with him.
Yeah.
And I almost wish we could cultivate that.
Yeah.
But I also don't, part of me also wonders if that's an act.
The thing is, though, see, in a massive twist of irony, if I had to guess, and it would be a guess because I'm not going to claim I've seen every single piece of content he's put out because I haven't, because the guy infuriates me. But that is quite possibly the only video on his channel where he is being honest and being himself.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really sad. Sorry, Chris, just quickly before we carry on. Super chat from Shannon T. Enjoying the platform this evening. Thanks again. Thank you very much, Shannon. And another super chat from Peter Nankaru. Sometimes I'm a jerk. I try to understand. I'm sure that when you typed that, it related to something, but I'm not really sure what it was. Thank you.
I can relate to so many things.
Yeah, it's an odd one. And sorry, Chris, just one more from Oleg. Sorry, I'm late. Here for some PLN for Pepsi. That's Polish knocky. Polish something.
We could all use some of those.
Sorry, Chris, we've got a stowaway.
Oh, Coco. So beautiful.
Mrs. Blanket is trying to stay out of shot to get her back. Right. Thank you. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that video, unless you don't have any feels, I challenge you to not have a certain amount of not sympathy. Well, I don't know, sympathy, maybe
empathy. A little bit of empathy.
I genuinely found it really sad to the point where I was gonna delete the clip and not use it again. But then I skipped forward to another one of his videos and he was just being a giant dick, so I kept the clip. But I think that could possibly be the only piece of content on his whole channel where he's actually being honest and being himself.
I would actually love to get Crafty Keela's opinion on that also at some point in time, because I know she does work with mental health.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Crafty if she wants to come on and do this one Sunday as well. So yeah, because I do find the psychological side of it interesting, not just, look at him, he's a flat earther. I'm finding myself getting more and more interested in why is he a flat earther. Another super chat just come in. Flattened destruction. Nate Thompson gets owned by me. I put the video out, a one-on-one debate. I crushed him. But did he admit that you'd crushed him, flattened destruction? I guarantee he didn't, because that's another thing. They are completely incapable of accepting defeat gracefully. They can't even hold their hands up and say, yeah, I was wrong on this occasion. I still think what I think, but I was wrong about this point. They won't even do that. What was that thing I said in the video? I read it, so it's not mine, but it was flat earthers have an incredibly low standard for the types of evidence they'll accept that they think proves the earth is flat, but they have an unrealistically high expectation for evidences that disprove what they think. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's flat because it looks flat to me. It's perfectly acceptable as evidence, but it can't be flat because of the sun rising and setting, because that's just one simple thing that shows we don't live on a flat earth. That's even though the sun is there, we know a lot about it, we know a lot about space, blah blah blah. That's not acceptable. That doesn't prove anything. You just showed me a video. It's that kind of situation.
Yeah, they're willing to like accept two local suns that are like 30 miles away, but to say that, and I think I've made this comment in the past. I feel like part of it's like a cult of personality, and also an unwillingness to at least the more religious flat earthers. It's an unwillingness to accept our insignificance.
Yeah.
Because it really, if you think about it, this planet is here by accident. Everything is evolved through mutations and essentially lucky mistakes. Just like me finding you, Creaky, a lucky mistake, and it has evolved to this. But that's life. It's a lot of lucky mistakes, and here we are. And I feel like, and we've discussed this in the past too. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a Zen Buddhist, and I'm very comfortable with knowing that I exist now in the moment, and I enjoy every day.
Yeah,
not living for some sort of afterlife, but living today to be good to people, to do good in the world, to be happy, to find joy.
Yeah.
But I feel like, if you live from this, mindset that the earth is flat, God created everything, or, and everything you do has to be to please, some, old man with a beard somewhere in the sky. What a horrible way to live. You're living in fear every single day.
Because somebody said that hell and the devil are just concepts created by people that believe in God.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a control. Religion is, and I know we don't have a ton of time left, so I'll try to make this brief. But religion, religion is a social contract. It's a construct. It's used, and I was raised Catholic, and it's so
Same
it's so it's not that I didn't come out of the womb a Buddhist. I mean, I was raised Catholic and made the choice to become a Buddhist. And religion has its place. It's a great foundation. I feel like spirituality is super important. Not knocking that at all. You believe what you believe, but if you use it to control others or to rein people in, then it's authoritarian. And I, as a Reformed Catholic, I personally left Catholicism because I felt it was just that.
I prefer to consider myself a keyword Catholic.
That's even better. It's even better. Yeah, because for sure.
It's kind of, I don't know if it was the same for you, but I went to Catholic school as well. So my teachers were nuns and, priests, and it's all very controlling. You will do it like this and you will do it like that right now, or else you'll go to hell, or do you know what I mean? It's a culture of fear, I think, in some cases. And that's the thing, see, and this is what people seem to misunderstand. How can I say, it's not that I'm knocking religion, it's just I don't like the element of control that seems to exist in varying religions.
Well, you can also say it as like, for an example, like I don't not like government, but I really hate dictators.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the thing is as well, though, and again, I've said this before, to some of the naysayers that watch my videos, people that watch them just because they don't like me, I'm not saying that I absolutely love the government and I think everything they do is perfect. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm sure, and obviously, I'm in the UK, you're in the US, they're absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt, is things going on probably now that we just don't get told about. Either ever or until the appropriate time. Because there's this big debate going on, whether the British government, told us about the pandemic early enough. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But if they didn't, I'm sure they didn't, they didn't have a meeting in Parliament, and the Prime Minister didn't say, I tell you what, guys, for a joke, just because we can, let's not tell them for another 3 weeks, just for a laugh, and we'll do a bet and see, who cracks for it. They probably were trying to avoid a mass panic, which is essentially what we got with people panic buying toilet roll, even though the sneezes and diarrhea isn't anything to do with COVID. I've never quite grasped why toilet paper was a thing, and I still don't understand it. But so I'm sure there are things that we maybe should be told now that we're not being told. But I'd like to think that it's for a good reason, and probably in the long run for our own long-term benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, the response here in the United States, we know was purposely withheld, or information was purposely withheld because, we didn't want to cause a mass panic, or we didn't want to worry constituents. Whatever your political leanings are, be it Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, whatever you are, we were still maybe, a lie of omission is still a lie. And, to not be told something that, or initiate things because we didn't want to, or downplay things because we didn't want to upset the voters or panic people. Sorry, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And it's that kind of manipulation that, to kind of circle back on my point, it's a kind of manipulation that it makes religion bad, makes governments bad. So, it's when you're manipulating the people for your own narrative, that's when it starts to become a real
that's
issue.
the thing with a lot of conspiracy theorists and flat earthers alike, is that they seem to have an inherent mistrust of anybody in a position of authority, whether it be a government representative, or what they consider to be world leaders. It seems to be part of the whole conspiratorial mindset that you must have a distrust ingrained into you towards anybody who has done whatever they may have done to position themselves that they are the ones telling people what they should and shouldn't do.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I have one plea actually for the flat earth and conspiracy community is, speaking as a Freemason myself, please just don't blame everything on us. We're really just a charitable fraternity. We have no machinations on world control and world domination. We just want to just do charity work, really. Just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Just leave us alone.
But do you think that comes down to, because the Freemasons it's not obviously it's not a secret organization because people know about the Freemasons, but it's kind of the club, if you like, isn't it? You can't just rock up one day and say, can I be a Mason? Look, I've already got the Illuminati ring, So with that air of mystery that surrounds it, it then, to these conspiracy theorists, makes them think, well, what are they doing then? Why do they need to keep it all a secret?
Yeah. And the thing is we're an open, we're an open fraternity. Again, granted, not everybody can get in. But we're a society with secrets. We're not a secret society. And our secrets are just traditions that go back, hundreds and hundreds of years. It's not any, like I said, I can guarantee you we're not trying to rule the world. We're,
No, that's the Illuminati. Not
exactly.
Totally different organization.
Yeah, completely different organization.
Yeah, exactly. The Illuminati is that secret organization that somehow everybody mysteriously seems to know about.
Yeah,
everybody mysteriously seems to know about. Anyway, it's 8:45 in the UK. Have you seen the latest episode of The Mandalorian?
Of course.
Episode 6 or are you ahead of us?
It was with
Boba
I
Fett
don't
was
want
in
to.
it.
I'm afraid to say anything because I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
it for
I
you,
know.
in case you didn't see
If you
it. And
haven't, listen, it's side chat. If you haven't watched, if you're not up to date with The Mandalorian, you may want to cover your
ears.
turn off your cover your ears, turn off the headphones for the next 5 minutes. Yeah, it was the episode with Boba Fett in it.
Yes. So
Yeah, so you've seen it.
yes, Chunky Boba Fett, which I'm very upset that he's getting body shamed on the internet. But
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So chapter 14, I will tell you, I loved that they brought Boba Fett in as a complete and utter badass. My cheeks clenched when I saw Slave 1 or Slave 2. I forgot which one we're on, but whatever. I think it's Slave 2. Maybe I'm bad me for not knowing my trivia, but I just my cheeks clenched and I'm like, oh my god, it's Boba Fett. I can't wait. And then I had an odd feeling when the stormtroopers showed up that Baby Yoda, because you have to follow the classic like TV and movie tropes. So I had an odd feeling when they landed. All right, well, Baby Yoda's gonna get spirited away, and and then
do you know the one thing I found confusing about that episode, and I don't know whether it's doing what I do now has made me think in a particular way. So, and I hope you're muted if you don't want any spoilers. It's not really a spoiler. So, Grogu is meditating.
Yep.
And he's got the dome, which I'm sure all the flat earthers who caught it absolutely loved and probably screamed at the TV, see, a dome.
He's got his own firmament.
And it was completely, Mando could not get through it. It was impenetrable.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What was the big panic about the stormtroopers and the dark, what were they called?
The dark troopers?
The dark troopers. What? He had his dome. I just thought that was a bit of a plot hole.
But the only problem with that is since he was reaching out with the Force to try to find other Jedi, we know Grogu as a very, being a child, has a limited battery capacity. So I think Mando wanted him to just get him out and get him off the planet before what we've seen happen many times in the past happen. He gets sleepy, and then
because he's a baby.
Because he's a baby.
He's
50 years old.
He's 50. That's right.
50 years old.
Somebody has just commented. It's all CGI.
Yes.
Well, obviously it is predominantly CGI.
You are 100% correct.
Yeah, it's a story. It's Hollywood. Not like flat earthers that think that The Matrix is a documentary. It's it most definitely is CGI. That was Audrey Rebedew, what a comment to make on your reappearance.
Horrible. I was so worried about her when she wasn't showing up. Now I'm kind of like, well,
it was
sorry that you're here.
Chris, it's almost as if these good people in the side chat have actual and real lives to attend to.
What?
I know.
How is that possible?
I know. It's funny though, because, and I was thinking about this the other day. Now, my live streams, the views on my live streams are probably 5 to 10% of the number of views that my videos get. So everybody that's in the side chat now, there's one or two exceptions, like Renegade Remix TV. Not sure if you knew, but that's a name I've not seen you before, if you've just never caught a live stream before. So you kind of get to know people through doing this every Sunday. And I do notice when people aren't here.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've noticed that Audrey wasn't here last week. I think she was here the week before, but I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks prior to that where she wasn't here. And you do, because this what we are doing here now, I think this is the community part of my channel.
Yeah.
We just come and we have a chat and hang out on a Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon for you guys in the US.
Yeah.
And so I genuinely do notice when somebody's not here.
Yeah, because
I
we
really,
have
really
the
do.
usual suspects all the time. We
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
usual
exactly,
suspects. Yeah.
exactly. Because live streams aren't for everybody, which I
Mhm.
know. I do them because I enjoy doing them, and
Yeah.
listening to two guys just chatting about
Everything.
everything and nothing doesn't
Yeah.
appeal to everybody. But I personally enjoy this sort of thing. But yeah, so when you're not here, you are missed, because I do genuinely notice when people aren't here. But I'm not really sure where I was going with that point. Crafty Keeler says, "Do you miss us when we're not here?" Yeah, everybody except you, Keeler. No, I genuinely do notice when people aren't here that are always here, because it's always around the 200 mark as far as the number of people watching while I'm live, and it's always roughly the same. I'd say at least the same 175 with a random 25, names that will pop up that I can't recall seeing before, or that I haven't seen before. So
Now,
this is the community part of what I do on the channel, and that's why I think I'm gonna, and I know I say this all the time, but this time I mean it, I'm gonna try and do that. I'm not gonna do this every Sunday, but I don't know whether to alternate it. What would your preference be as a viewer rather than a guest, Chris? I thought every other week, maybe.
I was thinking once a month, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Because honestly, I don't have the live chat open, so I don't know how many people are watching, how many people have fallen asleep at the keyboard with my
195.
ramblings. Huh?
195 people watching.
Oh, okay.
Well, 194 right now.
All right. So
It's,
I
it's
mean,
a good number.
yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not your best, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, it's it is what it is, isn't it? But I just think it's nice, because I don't know if this is just a Creaky thing, or if other people think like this at all. This wouldn't apply to you, Chris, but certain people I speak to, and I imagine what they may look like. So if I was speaking to Christopher Shapley, DVM, CVA, prior to knowing what you look like, I would not always. I'm not like a weirdo or anything like that. But you have this mental picture of what Chris Shapley, DVM, CVA looks like.
Yeah. And
then I saw you, and it was like, he's not 28 stone and ginger with a beard. Damn. He's sickeningly handsome and younger than me. But I just always, I get this image in my mind of what people look like, and I am, without fail, never right.
Oh, I'm the same way. Yeah. I can never nail what people look like in my own head. It's
yeah. I used to enjoy doing that when I still had the sign shop.
Mhm.
I would take a phone call, and I like to be as respectful as I can to people when and I consider myself to have a friendly and professional telephone manner. So I would be speaking to Chris Shapley, who wants a new sign for his vet surgery. Yes, of course, Dr. Shapley, I'd be more than happy to do that. Yes, I can come out and measure up, and we'll have a chat, and we'll go through some ideas, blah, blah, blah. And then this turns up, and they automatically, the number of times people have said, I spoke to your boss the other day, and he said that you'd be coming. It's like, oh, right, okay, cool. No, you spoke to me because I was the boss, and I used to clean, and I would unblock the toilet, and I would make coffee for myself, and I would fit the signs and make the signs and design. So, but it was always interesting, and that's what made me think of that, is how people perceive you based on what they hear, and then how does that measure up when they see you. And in my case, it was nearly always they didn't think that this is what was coming to see them. And I just find that interesting.
It is, and like for me, I typically wear a long sleeve shirt, so if I'm wearing a polo like this and you can see my tattoos, my clients are like, wait, you have tattoos? And I'm like, yes. And I've had these tattoos for longer than I've been taking care of your pet, and it's been 5 years I've known you. And but it's so in the summer when I wear polos or my scrubs, immediately I'm talking to them and their eyes are not on me. They're on my left arm because you can see my half sleeve Buddha peeking out, you know, and it's interesting the expectations that society and people form, and then that forms that picture in their mind.
Of course it does. Of course it does. I think things are better now than, you know, than they were in years gone by, because I know even, you know, excuse me, even I can remember going back to when I was 18, obviously getting my first tattoo, because it would have been illegal to get one under 18. You know, how it was positioned on my person based on how easily hideable it would be. But now, you know, people tend to, you know, it was kind of a process before. You'd get a tattoo up here. That would be nearly everyone's first tattoo. Then the braver amongst us may have one down on their forearm, or if they weren't quite as brave, on the inside of their forearm, so they could still conceal it. But now, and then it would be, then you'd go to sleeves. And it used to be like an unwritten rule in the tattoo industry in the UK that they would not tattoo hands unless you already had a full sleeve on that arm. But now I see people all the time and they've got hand tattoos and finger tattoos and nothing on their arms.
Nothing on their sleeve,
Yeah, you know, it's so I think it's people are more accepting of it now.
They definitely are.
Like some generations that, you know, my mother hates my tattoo, absolutely hates them.
Yeah.
She knows it doesn't change who I am or how I behave towards people, but she doesn't like what they look like. She just doesn't like them. Doesn't like tattoos.
And my mother's the same way. Like my first tattoo was when I was 19. I was a big surfer. I surfed with a bunch of guys. We all got tribal bands because that's what you did in the 90s when you were a surfer down the Jersey Shore. You got a tribal band.
I've got a huge tribal tattoo on this arm, which is going to be getting taken care of in the not too distant future. Hopefully. Anyway, Dr. Shapley, DVM CVA, it is just coming up to 9 o'clock. So thank you for joining me. I've enjoyed having a chat. Anybody who's watching the video now or who stumbles across it on replay, let me know what you think of this format of video. And remember, I asked Chris to come on. So I'm not asking if you liked Chris or anything like that, because I'm sure Chris will care about as much as I do. But was this interesting to listen to? Be kind. I cry very easily these days. Thanks to everybody who super chatted. Just quickly, we've got a super chat from Chris Kellin, who says he looked good in the armor, even if it was custom made. So that must have been when we were talking about the Mandalorian. Obviously, this format does make it a little bit more difficult for me to watch the side chat. And
super chat. Thank you.
A super sticker from Bruce Allison saying, hey, you. Well, hey, back to you as well, Bruce. Chris, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I will speak to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. It's been fun. Take care, everybody. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching Creaky Live. Don't forget to follow me on all of your social media platforms. Have a good day and have a creaky week.